Welcome to Bill Monty's Guide for Getting Older.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Bill Monty's Guide for Getting Older. A reminder, this podcast isn't just about getting older. It's about understanding the world we're growing older in, how we care for each other, how we protect what we've built, and how we make sense of the systems that are supposed to look out for us, especially when we really need them. However, for today's episode, we're going to be doing a little bit of nostalgia. By the way, I know in the last episode, if you were listening, I said that was the last episode of 2025, and we'd be coming back with a revamped version of the podcast in 2026. Well, some of that revamping has occurred and has started occurring, but I realized I had not done the holiday episode that I planned to do. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a little bit of nostalgia. One of the things about getting older, as you know, is you tend to look back with fondness on the traditions and the things that just aren't around anymore. Time moves on, right? We all know that. But there are some things that bring a certain warmth in remembering how they were. So I thought we'd talk about some Christmas traditions that we grew up with. The ones that were once common and then faded away. These traditions are part of our personal time capsule. They may not come back, and when they're gone, so is a piece of our past. So I thought, well, let's remember them together. The first one, okay, I can't recall if I have said this on this particular podcast or not. I know I talked about it in my podcast, Tales from South Florida, which if you haven't heard, you can go to talesfromsouthflorida.com. We have a lot of great episodes there. You don't have to be from South Florida or Florida to enjoy the episodes. But one of the things I talked about was that growing up, we used to vacation in Little Rock, Arkansas. I know you're going, what? But it was to go see my grandmothers who lived there. So every Christmas and every summer, when I was a child, we would pack up the car and we would drive to Little Rock. And I remember my maternal grandmother, Nanny Ruby by name, had an aluminum Christmas tree. Now, in all my life, she was the only person I knew that actually had an aluminum Christmas tree. You know, it was silver, looked only like a tree in the sense of the shape, and then it had this color wheel that you placed in front of it or right behind it that had different colors on it, gold and blue and red and green. And you would plug it in, and this wheel would turn, and it would give these colors to the tree, and it would reflect off of them. Oddly enough, that's one of the things that, looking back, made such an impression on me. If I were to go to Christmas back then, and we walked into her house, and that had now been replaced by a real tree, or a green artificial tree, I would have thought something had gone horribly wrong. Yeah, it was one of the most striking images of holiday decor in the mid-20th century. It was shiny, it was metal, it was artificial. It was first commercially manufactured around the late 1950s, so part of that post-war boom. Look how scientific we are. Look how advanced, how futuristic things can be and look. And the big breakthrough came when the aluminum specialty company of Manitowoc, Wisconsin, introduced their Evergleam tree in 1959. The trees had foil or aluminum-coated branches, and because you couldn't safely string lights through them, well, that's why they had that rotating color wheel. Peak popularity of these aluminum trees was in the early 1960s, but then a cultural turning point in 1965. That was the first time that the special, A Charlie Brown Christmas, aired on TV. And the end of it, where Charlie Brown satirizes the aluminum tree as a symbol of commercialization, well, that kind of chopped down that forest of aluminum trees. Sales began to decline. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, the trees were largely out of favor. The Wisconsin Historical Museum notes that production discontinued somewhere around 1971 or 1972. Didn't matter to Nanny Ruby, though. She kept that aluminum tree and that wheel her entire life. You won't see them around anymore unless you're in maybe like an antique store. I did find in a Target, I believe it was, a couple of years ago, a miniature. When I say miniature, I'm talking 2 inches maybe tall, and it came with a little tiny color wheel. I bought it just for nostalgia's sake. Here's another one that might bring back some memories: the silvery strands of tinsel that were draped over Christmas trees, shimmering like icicles. But did you know that many of these strands were once made with lead? Yeah, the traditional lametta tinsel was made of a lead alloy foil with shiny tin plating. So yes, you can still buy these today. We have them on our tree right now, which I'm telling you, as I record this, about a week before Thanksgiving in 2025, our Christmas tree is up. The way things are going in the world and the country and everything right now, I just thought, as the old Broadway song says, we could use a little Christmas. So our tree is already up. And yes, it's artificial, although not aluminum. And yes, you can buy those tinsel, but they're not made out of lead anymore. Even though in the 1950s and 1960s, lead-based tinsel was extremely common in the US and Europe, it was popular because it did not tarnish. It caught the light beautifully. Yeah, if you remember it from back then as opposed to what you buy now, it really did sparkle in that tree better than the ones that we get today. Then the health risk emerged. Lead poisoning, especially concern for children. By the 1960s and 1970s, lead tinsel was phased out and replaced with plastic or other safer material versions. So again, a tradition that we remember fondly, draping the shimmering tinsel. We were supposed to do it one at a time, but as a kid, didn't you just want to throw the whole thing up there in a ball and just kind of watch it settle on one branch? Doing it one by one, which my father would insist on, too slow for me. When we hang the modern version, sparkle is there, but the material and memory of how it looked and felt is very different. And if you, like me, are old enough to recall the original strands, well, we carry that memory. The Sears Christmas Wish Book Catalog. Okay, this was, back then, you didn't have a lot of choices, no internet. You just had the memory. Maybe your parents kept the old one from last year, but somewhere around August or September, when that Sears Christmas Wish Book would arrive in the mail, or you'd go to the store and pick it up, that was Christmas is coming, even back in August and September. It was a personal memory for many of us who recall the holiday anticipation. You see, for decades, the Sears catalog, as I say this, it occurs to me there aren't any Sears left, at least not down here in South Florida. But for decades, the Sears catalog was more than just a store catalog. It was a holiday ritual. The massive mail order book would arrive in the mail, or like I said, you'd go pick it up in the store, and families would flip through it, circling items, planning Christmas gifts, browsing the toy sections. That was me and my brother. We didn't do any of that other stuff. We just browsed the toy sections. We would circle. We would write down on our wish list. This would be in our letter to Santa. And sometimes we got what we wanted. Many times we did not. Families who grew up in the 1950s, the 60s, the 70s remember flipping through the Sears catalog and imagining the Christmas morning surprises. But by the 1990s, that print catalog tradition faded. It was overtaken by big box stores, internet shopping, different media. And what did we lose? We lost the tactile experience of a huge catalog arriving, the family sitting down together to circle the items, the joy of the book of possibilities that herald the incoming holiday season. That ritual is mostly gone, but for those of us who remember, we do hold on to that great memory. And what about Christmas caroling? I don't see Christmas carolers anymore, do you? When I was in high school, I was in the chorus. And one of the things that I remember doing, must have been my senior year, maybe it was junior, I don't remember now, was a group of us got together and we walked from house to house, going through the neighborhoods of Hollywood, Florida, singing Christmas carols. You knock on the door. Sometimes, if you did a couple of days before Christmas, there would be a Christmas party going on. And people would open the door. We would sing 2 or 3 songs. And we were good. Let me tell you something. That harmony was perfect. And we were part of an a cappella group, so we didn't need any instruments of any kind. People would welcome us. They would give us money. They'd invite us into the house. Understand, we were dressed in our a cappella chorus outfit, so that meant for the young men, the boys, we were in tuxedos with bow tie and fluffy shirt. The girls were in their green gowns that they wore when we performed. We were quite the group to be invited into a party. We'd get some food, we'd get some drink, non-alcoholic, of course, and then we'd move on to the next house. People really seemed to enjoy it, and we loved doing it. It was just so much fun. And I missed that knock on the door on Christmas Eve or maybe a few nights before, and there would be some neighbors caroling. I know if you're younger, you think I'm nuts talking about this. This is something out of a movie, right? But it really did used to happen. I don't understand why we can't do that anymore. I guess what, gated communities, fear of children going knocking on doors of strangers and what could possibly happen. I guess the world's a more dangerous place now. But wow, we've really lost something in that we've lost that. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that schools still go to and choruses still go caroling at hospitals and senior centers. And thank you for doing that. The sound of the Christmas music, those Christmas songs filtering up through the air, they bring joy no matter if you celebrate Christmas or perhaps something else around that time of year. There's nothing like seeing a group of people singing just to make you happy. And finally, one more Christmas tradition that I recall is the Goodyear Christmas album. I think I learned most of my Christmas songs that weren't religious-based that we do in church from those albums. So every year, probably sometime around, I don't know, October, you'd go to the Goodyear store, where you get tires and all that, and they would produce these record albums, would have about maybe 12 to 14 songs with various artists, anything from the Mormon Tabernacle Choir to Barbara Streisand to Sammy Davis Jr. to Doris Day, singing all these great songs. I still remember some of them, and I know that now you can actually look them up on Pandora or Spotify, and you can play those albums once again. We had one of them playing while we were putting up our Christmas tree last weekend. And I still have some of those albums next to my turntable. Yeah, that's how you know you're older. You have a turntable and you still have some vinyl and some albums. And I'm glad to see them coming back, right? But I can still hear Sammy Davis Jr. singing, "It's Christmas time all over the world." They're great times. I miss those days, and I miss those traditions. I'm guessing new traditions have now taken hold. I'd love it if you drop me a line at billmonty04@gmail.com and let me know what Christmas or holiday traditions you still have with you or your family, or which ones you remember fondly and what they meant to you. You can also go down to the SpeakPipe tool, and always remember to please keep the holiday season in your heart. Right now, as the song says, we need a little Christmas, but we need to just get together as people again and celebrate joy and celebrate life. Do me a favor, my friends. I just want you to have a great and happy holiday season. We have Thanksgiving coming up, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa. Whatever it is you celebrate, do it with your family. Do it with a smile on your face. Do it with love. I've said before that we never know how many birthdays we have in front of us. We know all the ones we have in back of us, but we don't have as many in front of us anymore. And the same can be said for the holiday season. And I wish you the happiest and the safest for you and your family. Until next time in 2026, my friends, be safe and be kind.
If it's warm outside but you're feeling colder, not sure what to do without a friendly shoulder, you're not alone, so start feeling bolder. Welcome to Bill Monty's Guide for Getting Older.
Hi, this is Bill Monty, inviting you to take a talk down memory lane on the podcast Tales from South Florida, where we dive into the people, places, and events that make our corner of the Sunshine State unlike any place, anywhere. So sit back, grab your headsets, get a slice of key lime pie, and come along for the ride. Full episodes, music, videos, and more are available at talesfromsouthflorida.com. Tales from South Florida, where the stories meet the sea.